There are a couple of really annoying things about wearing a face mask. First, your lipstick always looks terrible. Second, if you sneeze, it's really, really gross. Achoo! Oh. Third, it's really, really hard to read faces. For those of you who've been following me at Science of People, you know I am obsessed with microexpressions and body language. And recently, we're all wearing a lot more face masks. So all of you, my students, my readers, my viewers, have been asking, can you read facial expressions? Can you read body language, even with a face mask? And the good news is, yes! In this video, I want to give you a tutorial of how you can read faces even beyond a face mask. Number 1, microexpressions still work. So researcher Dr. Paul Ekman, his research is featured in the show Lie to Me, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. He is the one who discovered a microexpression. A microexpression is a very brief, involuntary facial expression we make when we feel an intense emotion. We can't control these microexpressions. They just happen, and they usually happen in less than a second. So they're quick flashes of emotion. He discovered there are 7 universal facial expressions. They are happiness, contempt, surprise, fear, disgust, anger, and sadness. Here's the good news. These microexpressions, for the most part, take up lots of muscles on the face, not just around the mouth or chin or lower cheeks. They involve a lot around the upper cheeks, the eyes, and the forehead. So even though we can't see the full microexpression, we can see parts of it. So let me do a little demo here so you can see. So let's actually start with fear and surprise. So fear and surprise have a lot of action in the eyebrows. So if you are looking at someone with a face mask, what you want to look for is any distinct movements in the eyebrows. Let's start with fear. So fear, when someone sees something they're afraid of, they widen their eyelids, so their eyelids get really white so you can see the whites of their eyes, and their eyebrows usually raise up and they So I'm making the fear microexpression right now, and you can see my eyes, my eyelids are activated, and my eyebrows are up. Surprise is a very similar microexpression, but has a little bit less negativity to it. You can be pleasantly surprised, for example. Surprise is the longest microexpression. In fact, people typically open their mouths. You might even see that face mask stretch. You're also going to see their eyebrows shoot up their face into upside down U's. So surprise looks like this. So the biggest difference here is that with surprise, you're looking for an elongation of the face, and you're also looking for the eyebrows to become upside down U's, versus fear, where the eyelids open and the eyebrows have a flat line, something like this. So I want you to see the difference between surprise and fear here in this graphic. So you can see surprise, you have those upside down U's, where fear, you have a flat line across the eyebrows. And even with a face mask, we can still tell the difference. All right, next one let's go into is sadness. So sadness is the hardest microexpression to fake. In fact, for me to do it for you, I have to practice a lot in the mirror. So sadness, you can try it with me now. Actually, if you want to try sadness, you could even, underneath my face mask, you can make your mouth into a little frown. So, right, put it down like this. So put your mouth into a little frown, okay? And then I want you to pinch the inner corners of your eyebrows together like this. And then I want you to droop your lids. That is the microexpression of sadness. Even though you can't see my face, you can still see the sadness in my eyes. Again, you're looking for a drooping lid and that pinch of the brow. So even in the graphics, even when we add a face mask, you can still see that sadness in that characteristic little pinch. It's very, very hard to pinch your eyebrows together and droop your lids if you don't actually feel sad. Next microexpression is anger. Anger is another really easy one to spot, even if you can't see someone's mouth. The easiest way to spot anger is the 2 parallel lines. I call them a railroad. If you see a railroad right here between someone's eyebrows, that is the quintessential microexpression of anger. So typically when we're in anger, we harden our lips, which you can't see under a face mask, and then we pinch our eyebrows so that we get those 2 vertical lines that look like this. We also might harden our lower lids. So you can see that I actually get those 2 vertical lines right there. That is the easiest way to spot anger. You can even see it in the graphic. can try this with me, by the way. If you pinch your eyebrows together and create those two vertical lines, you will begin to feel a little irritable, a little angry. The next microexpression that you want to look for is a positive one. It's happiness. So happiness is one of my favorite microexpressions, and people most often mistake that happiness has to be a smile. So when someone gives you a nice smile, that means they're happy. But you and I both know that anyone can fake smile, right? A fake smile looks like this. A fake smile is when we don't reach these upper cheek muscles or the upper zygomaticus muscles. And so we can actually see this with a face mask. In a way, I think that happiness or true happiness is easier to spot with a mask on because you focus on the right part of the microexpression. Let me show you. So if someone has a face mask on and they fake smile, nothing really looks that different. So right now I am fake smiling under this mask, but my face doesn't look that different. Now I'm gonna real smile. You notice how my face mask actually lifted up? And then you can see that these nice wrinkles here, the crow's feet, are engaged. So watch the difference when I'm neutral, fake smiling, to real smiling. So you see how the real smile actually activates the mask and even shows up above. So the most important part of a smile is actually right here. I think in a weird way, the face mask helps us focus on the right area. Okay, the last two, take this guy off. I'm like sweating in my face mask. The last two microexpressions are contempt and disgust. So contempt and disgust are two very negative microexpressions. Briefly, let's talk about disgust. Disgust is the expression you make when you smell something bad or you're grossed out. It happens a lot in the mouth and nose. So disgust without my mask on looks like this. Ugh. So I flash the upper whites of my teeth and I crinkle my nose. Here's the good news is usually you can see those upper nose crinkles at the top of the mask. So if I show you that I'm disgust, you can still see the nose crinkles in the camera. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for those upper nose crinkles because you can't see my teeth, but you can see that there's a lot of activation here. And by the way, no one does this naturally. We only do this when we're actually grossed out. All right, the last microexpression is contempt. Okay, I don't have good news, folks. Contempt is the hardest one to spot under a face mask, but I still think that you should know it. So contempt is the simplest looking of the microexpressions, but one of the most negative. It's scorn or disdain, the feeling of being better than. It is simply a one-sided mouth raise, so just, or it kind of looks like a smirk. In fact, we have a huge body language quiz on our website. Highly recommend if you want to test these yourself on these microexpressions, check it out. It's for free. scienceofpeople.com/quiz, where you can test yourself on all the microexpressions. In that quiz, we ask people what this face means, and it's the one that most people get wrong. In fact, most people think it's boredom or half happiness or apathy, but actually contempt is an extremely negative emotion. The problem is, under a face mask, you can't really see it. I'm contempting right now, and you can't really see it. That makes me feel contemptuous. So you have to look for other nonverbal signs of contempt, and here are a couple of, my hair is like in my mask. Can you see it? The other problem with wearing a face mask. Hold on. It's a rogue. Oh, got it. Got it. So the other nonverbal signs of contempt are also really good to know, and I love teaching body language, so this is just an excuse for me to teach you some new body language cues. Some other contemptuous things you should know is a sarcastic tone of voice. Often the smirk is partnered with a, yeah, tell me about it, or I guess she's okay, or I'm fine. That expression. You've heard it before. It's often accompanied by passive aggressiveness as well. So listen for that sarcastic tone of voice. You might also see distancing behavior. Distancing behavior is when someone moves their body or angles their body back. They tilt a shoulder back, they tilt their head back, and they look down their nose at you. This is especially helpful, especially when someone's wearing a face mask. You can immediately see when someone feels skeptical because they go like this. Right? That's a universal gesture. We tilt our head back, we look down our nose at someone. It's as if we're saying, I don't know about you. Those are a couple things that you can look out for along with contempt to see if you're missing it underneath a face mask. All right, step number 2 here is this is actually not new science or a new approach. On our website for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been running a quiz called Reading the Mind and the Eyes. And this quiz is literally just being able to read emotions from eyes. And we have proven over and over again that people can accurately read emotions even when you can't see the bottom half of the face. So I'm very encouraged by this research because I know that we can already do it. Here is my next big challenge for you. Maybe you took our first body language quiz that was seeing the whole face. Now I want you to take the Reading the Mind and the Eyes quiz. This is just pictures of people's eyes, including wearing glasses, by the way, which makes it even harder. 2 different barriers, a face mask and the eyes. That's at scienceofpeople.com/eyes. Here are a couple of examples for you. All right, take a look at this pair of eyes. What emotion do you think they feel? How about this face? What emotion do you think they feel? Be sure to go take the full Reading the Mind and the Eyes quiz at scienceofpeople.com/eyes. All right, number 3, body language matters more than ever, especially if you're doing more video calls and you're seeing more body language. If you can't rely completely on the face, you have to look at body language cues. I have dozens and dozens of articles about body language. I also have a ton of info about body language in our course, People School, but I want to give you a couple of quick tips here, as well as a couple of recommendations of what you can watch next. First, the universal sign for shame, and you can see this even with a face mask on. So if I have my face mask on, the universal sign for shame is touching just the side of the forehead, either side. So when someone is embarrassed or they make a mistake, they'll often go, "Oh." And that is because universally, when we touch this part of our forehead, where it's as if we're trying to shield or cover our eyes because we feel embarrassed. So you can also look out for anything with this gesture, is that someone feels a little embarrassed or ashamed. Second thing for you to consider is the head tilt. So this is a positive cue. If you're wondering, is this person like me? Are they paying attention? You're not sure if they're smiling. One thing you can look for is the head tilt. So as humans, we want to hear something better. We tilt our head to expose our ears so we can hear more. And so if someone's listening and they're, you know that they actually are listening because they're tilting that ear up. And even with a face mask on, you can still see it. This also sometimes is accompanied by a nod. Nods are also a very positive cue. There's one more body language cue I want to teach you because it has to do with the face, especially if you're on video calls, which is eye squinting. So remember how we learned anger? So anger, the full microexpressions like this, right? So we have these 2 vertical lines that appear. Sometimes in anger, you also will get a hardening of the lids, kind of like a squinting. When we're skeptical of something or we're judging something, we're not sure if it's true, we squint our eyes as if to see better. You can very clearly see this even under a face mask. So you can immediately see that I feel skeptical. So you can also watch for that hardening of the lower lid to see if someone is feeling a little bit skeptical of what you're saying. The bottom line here is body language, microexpressions, they're more important than ever. I think that reading nonverbal is a social superpower, and my goal is to teach it to everyone. So start with these 7 microexpressions, look at the eye behavior, look at some body language, take our body language quiz, scienceofpeople.com/quiz, or our Reading the Minds and the Eyes quiz to really test yourself at scienceofpeople.com/eyes. Hey, I want to tell you one more thing. You are amazing. The question is, do you know how to share it? I'd love to help. I save my very best tips for my insider subscribers. Subscribe for free at scienceofpeople.com. I know your inbox is sacred, so I promise to send you only emails you will love. If you like me wearing a face mask, click like. If you don't like me wearing a face mask, click like.